Good morning, and welcome to the O-Scope Wizard Show. I am Gabe, the O-Scope Wizard, and you have joined me on Baby Friday. We bring the week to a soft close on Baby Friday. If you've never joined the show, I decided to rename today Baby Friday because I think that just kind of spreads out the weekend a little bit longer, gives you something to look forward to, hope, as it were, for the end of the week. And also, we're trying a bunch of different things. Oh, we got somebody in the comments. I'm trying a different thing today. So we are not only streaming to YouTube, but we are also streaming to Twitch. And I think I can even respond. Hey guys. What are we doing today? What is the point of the show today? Today we're going to try to start building a wireless subwoofer. A while ago, I built a DIY Sonos-style Raspberry Pi based amplifier. It's really long. Oh, look, I'm getting a call right now. Of course I am. I should probably mute that. You know who's calling? A parent. A parent is calling. They have a sixth sense about when to call. But I'll call him back. So I was building an amplifier. Hilarious, Baby Friday. Baby Fridays are always a little bit looser around here. You know what I forgot for the Baby Friday is I forgot my Good and Plenties and my candy. Baby Friday should be a celebration. Anyway, so I built this Raspberry Pi based amplifier. It's right over here. Took a long time, made it. It's cool. It works great. I can connect to it with Spotify or Bluetooth, or there's even an audio input right here, and I was really proud of it. And it sounds really good. But what it lacks is a bottom end. No thump, no boom. And in an effort to annoy my neighbors even more, why not? Why not add a wireless subwoofer to this whole system? And I'm not sure I can do it. I have a lot of unanswered questions, but I also have, and thanks, I think it's a cool looking box too. I have a lot of unanswered questions, but I also have a lot of leftover parts from that build, and a couple of things that I ordered during the build were these little, tiny little Class D amplifier boards. So I ended up using a Class D amplifier board inside of that box, but it was a stereo amplifier, so everything was for 2 channels. For a subwoofer, I only need 1 channel. Another thing that I happen to have laying around is an old subwoofer. So a couple of years ago, I was listening to my Dayton Audio subwoofer that I bought from Parts Express. I don't know if you guys have ever bought anything off of Parts Express. It's a great place to get cheap audio gear. And I was watching a movie, and suddenly I had like a burning smell entered my nose, and my subwoofer's life was ended. So from that subwoofer, while the actual container, I'm pointing down because the subwoofer's container is way down there. It's kind of big, and I use it as a coffee table now. And today, this subwoofer is big. Is it bigger than my head? Is roughly the size of my head? Roughly the size of my head. It's a big subwoofer. Chat's like, is it bigger than your head? Technically, I think it might be slightly larger than my head. So I salvaged the actual speaker from that subwoofer, and we're going to see if I can power it with this tiny little Class D amplifier. These two things, one of these things is not like the other. It doesn't feel like this is going to have enough oomph to drive this. We're going to see. We're going to see if that'll work. And then the next stage will be to see if I can make all of that happen wirelessly. So I thought we would start with just, can that tiny Class D amplifier board power this giant subwoofer? And the chat says Class D amps are awesome. I could not agree more. They are pretty awesome. It's kind of funny. So let's let's get into figuring out what module it is and the actual show. So that's the setup. Um, Also, I kind of redid my head so it would float around. There's this streamer that my son really likes, um, that you are probably familiar with. His name is Dan TDM, and he has some kind of a thing like that in the bottom corner. And I was like, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can make that happen. So I, we're gonna see if it works. So what module am I using? Let's see. I have two of them because I thought that I might blow one of them up today. And I ordered two initially, thinking that I was going to make a stereo pair out of these guys, and they were on the slow boat, literally from China, of course, because all these little modules seem to come out of China. They did not actually make it in time for me to use them in my other project, and they arrived after I, in fact, finished building the whole thing. So I ordered two thinking that there would be a stereo pair, but now that I have them, I have an extra for when I blow it up. And this is based on the TPA3118. So the first thing I usually like to do is look up the data sheet for the part. So let me see if I can find it really quickly. Let's show my browser so that you guys can see it. So it is a, oh, it looks like it can be a 30-watt stereo amplifier or 60-watt mono. 60-watt, chat's way ahead of me. Way ahead of me. 60-watt mono. You are so right. One of the things that I ran into on my last build was I tried to power my amplifier with a 12-volt power supply, and ultimately I could not reach the full power potential without a 24-volt power supply. Today, again, I'm afraid we are a bit hampered with 12-volt power supply. In fact, I have the same 12-volt power supply I used last time, so this is just my knocking around power supply that I can use for projects like this to get started. Ultimately, we might have to upgrade it to a 24-volt power supply, but you got to start somewhere. Let's see. Oh man, we have somebody in the chat who actually somebody. The chat is so much faster than me, guys. I'm not used to having so much help. Thank you so much for looking up that data sheet for me. But one of the things I was curious about was, since it has such a wide voltage range, how much voltage do I need to pump into it? And it does look like to get the full wattage out of this power supply, I am going to need to use a higher voltage, but that's okay. That's okay. That is not insurmountable. We will start with the 12-volt power supply and then wire it out here. It does want an LC filter. I'm not sure if there's an LC filter out here or not. I don't know what kind of filter is on the back end of this little board. And if I remember properly, let's see. It does look like, so the chat's saying it does look like there's an LC filter already. And there are a bunch of L's and C's out here on the edge. So it does appear like there's already some kind of an LC filter. But the pins that you actually have access to are the output right here. So this is the audio output. And I should probably turn my camera so you guys can follow me while I'm talking here. The power pin, so I have the power pin. Then a mute pin, which looks like it is low, outputs enabled, high. We go into high Z, so I need to make that low. And then I have an input. So let's see if I can just wire it up and get some kind of noise coming out of this module. I also, down here, you may notice, I have some L's and C's. So I have some C's, some capacitors over here, and I have a potentiometer. And I thought that after I wired it up and confirmed that it does have enough juice to drive this little subwoofer, I might make a little low pass filter. And yeah, and I was also wondering if I should put on some safety goggles, because I have a real tendency to just plug things in that, you know, might need to be thought through a little bit better, because these capacitors have some voltage ratings on them. This one's 50 volts, but I don't know how much. Okay, this one's 10 volts. So if I push more than 10 volts, I don't know what will happen to this capacitor. It could potentially, you know, go boom. But luckily, I only have a 12-volt supply, so we're really close. First things first, let's get some power running to my board, and let's get some audio running to my board. So I have this little adapter, which is going to go from 3.5 to the input. And which side is ground and which side is power? Okay, so power and ground. Positive and negative right here. One of the things I was curious about on this input is the negative actually tied to ground, or is it a differential input with positive and negative? Let's see. The bald engineer who is in the chat is a bit of a capacitor expert. And so as I screw this all up, he will probably have things to say. I'm curious how this board is wired up. So I'm mostly curious to see if these inputs and outputs are differential or if they're single-ended, so if they're tied to ground. So I have my multimeter for continuity testing, positive, that side, so there's positive. I'm going to go for negative. I suppose you can't really see that because my camera is not, there we go. So I'm going to go from input negative, and I want to see if that's ground. So power over here. That definitely sounds like the negative side is ground. And on the output, I wonder if the negative side is ground. So here's the power negative right here. You can see positive and negative on the power. I think you can. There you go. Positive and negative on the power. This. Okay, so we are not on the negative side, or sorry, on the output side, the negative is not ground. So that's good because your speaker is actually a differential signal coming out to the two sides of the speaker coil, and you wouldn't want to tie one of them to ground. Okay, so some discussion on the LC filtering. Yes, so these Class D amplifiers work by sending out pulse width modulated signals, and instead of getting square waves out, you put an LC so it makes it more of a sine wave, because our ears want to hear sine waves. That's what we're designed to hear, because we are analog beings, digital beings. If we were robots, then square waves would be the way to go. We are not robots yet. We are still but mere mortal humans. I was just listening to Isaac Asimov's Foundation series, and that guy made up robots. And I don't want to give it away, but there are some robots in the Foundation series, secret robots. But I'm not a robot, so I prefer my waveforms to be more rounded. Okay, so that is an audio input. We have, the next thing we probably need is power. And power is over here by the output for whatever reason. So I have some wires here. So this will be power negative or power positive. Let's put the black to negative so I can at least have some hope of wiring this correctly. So I need to unscrew and screw some things. Don't worry, guys. This power supply is not plugged in right now, in case you were worried about me shocking myself. I'm always concerned that I'm going to shock myself because sometimes you get in a hurry and you forget what's plugged in, what's not. There are some actual people who may be going for robot in the chat. They've hoped to just like join that robot army. Right now, analog waveforms, sine waves, negative. It's just going to work better with your ears. Positive. Still like red for positive and black for negative. Keeps it straight in my mind. Right. That feels pretty good. I got some gray tack to stick all this stuff down so it doesn't float around on me. Oh, okay. Is that going to work? Now, that is wired up. Next, I suppose I should plug it in and see if it explodes, maybe. Before I do that, it says mute needs to be low for it to actually activate. And my goodness, that is not a great wire. Let me change that wire. Ooh. Goodness gracious alive. We got some Twitch emotes. Guys, you are so far ahead of me when it comes to chat and how to use the Computadora. I still don't even use emojis in my texts. And it baffles me. Like when I accidentally hit the emoji button on my phone and suddenly emojis start pouring out into my text, I'm just like, what is happening right now? Oh. And you guys are using them in the chat. Okay, that looks good. We got a red LED that just enabled here. If I move this down closer, I think I can move it down closer so that you can see. We have a red LED right there. We have an audio input. We have the potential for an audio output. How should we do this audio output? So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use this little breadboard to spread these out a little bit, and I don't have the positive and negative right beside each other. I think that's what I'm going to do. Does that sound good to you guys? I think that'll work well. Best way to do this. Got a couple of little headers here that I'm going to stick in this breadboard. Why do these headers, look at that, it's all out of whack. I feel like am I getting cheap headers? Do I need nicer headers? Is that the deal? Why are these sliding into my breadboard? I mean, I got one header. Look at that thing. What is that all about? Come on, header. My head is covering most of the breadboard. Oh no. Now, well, I scooched the breadboard over so we could see it. Ah! There we go. I feel like I'm back in college with the worst equipment. So now let's get some outputs wired up. Positive and negative outputs. Okay, so I'm going to use orange. Go up here to positive, and gray we will define as negative. Although it doesn't really matter on this subwoofer. We just need to have the coil, both ends of it, electrified, and we'll see if we get sound out of it. Now, to connect the subwoofer, I zoom back out here, get a little bit more perspective. I can see, one crazy thing about this subwoofer is I said to myself before the show, I'll look up the model of this subwoofer and we can get some information about it. And Parts Express Dayton Audio, this thing is unlabeled. I don't know where they got it. It's pretty well constructed. It's got a super heavy magnet, so I have high hopes that this thing will be able to bump. And it was able to bump before. I don't know why it wouldn't be able to bump in again. I need to plug it in though. Okay, so I have some different wires that may enable this. I had female gendered wires before, and now I'll pull out my male gendered wires. Black and white. And I also brought wires with some alligator clips, and I can actually match the wire color, so I have some black and white alligator clip wires. Is everybody following along? Oh man, people want to know the SPL and W. If I only knew the model. If I only knew the model. What was the model? You know what I do know? I think I know the model number. Might be on the Dayton Audio speaker back here. Okay, here's what it was. See if we can pick it up so you can see. It was this guy. Right. Oh, got it. The Dayton Audio SUB-100. That's what it was. That's what it was before it died. And you can see there's no amplifier in it anymore because the amplifier died. And now this thing is just the world's most cumbersome coffee table. It says it's a 4-ohm speaker. So that subwoofer is probably 4 ohms. I wonder if you just measure a subwoofer or a speaker with a ohm meter real quickly, what does it tell me it is? We'll go to resistance here. Anything? Anything? Overload. I don't know. I'm probably measuring this speaker incorrectly. I haven't made a bunch of speaker measurements, honestly. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay. It is measuring 4 ohms. I just have some trash on my connectors here, and so my multimeter wasn't getting it right. Let's see if I can show you guys. My head is right in the way. Come on, head. Get out of the way. Can I just move my head out of the way? Is that a possibility? Oh, not that. There. Move out of the way, head. There we go. Get it out of the way. Now you can see my speaker leads here. Measuring it. 4 ohms. I mean, dead on 4 ohms. That is impressive. Making some measurements. Making some measurements on the O-Scope Wizard Show. Oh, oxidation. Yes. I need a Bluetooth meter. Oh, chat says they love Dayton Audio parts. I also really like Dayton Audio parts. I put in some Dayton Audio wall speakers, in-wall speakers, and I was super happy with them. Where did my white wire go? I have dropped it or placed it somewhere unknowable. Did I lose my white? I was literally just holding. Oh, I dropped it on the ground. I dropped it on the ground. Anyway, I had Dayton Audio in-wall speakers. Just pulled them out the other day. In fact, in this room, in the techno layer, I have Dayton Audio in-wall speakers in the front. That's how I have my home theater set up. I like Dayton Audio. I've been super pumped with Parts Express over the years. I've poured hundreds of dollars into their coffers. Okay, so one side, good to go, and the other side. Now I may need to tie mute to low, so should I check that? I'm going to see if the mute input is low or not. I'm not sure what side is what on this thing. Oh, as I change it, I can hear the is it high or low? Looks like it's low. I don't know. I don't know if the mute input is active high or active, or sorry, if this board ties it high or low. It's supposed to be low to make sound come in. But I have kind of the craziest subwoofer setup that I could come up with. And we see the whole setup. There's the whole setup. So I have the board, breadboard, out to the subwoofer. Next, let's see if I can get, oh, how much, so there is some question in the chat. Can I get a feel for how much wattage you really need based off of the speaker profile? That is a really good question. Now, one of the things, I'm going to start some music and we'll see if I can just get anything coming out of the speaker. One of the things that the old amplifier that was in that subwoofer, it was an AB amplifier. I'm almost certain it was an AB amplifier. And the power rating was for the amplifier itself and not for the subwoofer. So in an AB amplifier, I want to say there's some wasted power. So when the subwoofer says it is a 125 watt subwoofer, that means the amplifier itself is a 125 watt amplifier, but I'm not sure how many watts actually make it out to the speaker. Now with the Class D amplifier, when this thing says that it is a 50 watt amplifier, 50 watts pretty much make it out to this speaker. So it's just more efficient. Can I get music? So I have it hooked up. Let's just get something going out here. And then we'll just go ahead and have this flagged. So, music playing. Oh, here we go. It does work. Can you guys hear that? Could you guys hear that? Yes, there we go. Some more numbers. AB, 60% efficient. Class D, 95% efficient. So that means that 125 watts, if it's 60% efficient, how many percentage go out to the speaker? What's 125 times 0.6? I can't math. 125 times 0.6, 125 divided by 2, 62 and a half, so a little bit more than 62 and a half watts. Is that right? I have a math website that I use. Math. It's like a MathCAD knockoff. No, man. I can't remember what it's called. I can't remember the math website that I use. Somebody in chat, 125 times 0.6. Let's see if we can math this up. calculator right here. Okay. So we will do 125. So that was the old rating of the amplifier AB times 0.6, 60% efficient, 75 watts. So 75 watts probably made it out to the speaker. Now 95% efficient 50 watt amplifier times 0.95, 47. So we are getting less power out to the subwoofer, but hey, you know, what we're going for is a little bit more bottom end, not the most powerful subwoofer. All of that, let's see, I've been droning on for a little while. I think we should probably hit the 5-minute mark.
5 minutes remaining.
Want to try that again? So we'll do 5 minutes remaining. 5 minutes more of droning on. We were able to get sound out of the subwoofer. It looks like this little amplifier is going to potentially work. But I'm a little worried about how do I make it wireless? This is one of my one of the things I was wondering about. How do I make this part wireless? No, initially I thought I'll just use like a Bluetooth dongle, and I actually ordered a Bluetooth dongle. I have one right here. So I need this Bluetooth dongle to send audio to this little amplifier board, which will work. But yes, Bluetooth has a ton of lag. How do you compensate for that lag, and how do you keep everything like locked together? So another option is to just use, inside of the amplifier box that I made initially, let's pull it out here. So if I pop the box open, so that's got a lid on it. Let's get the lid open. So inside of here is a Raspberry Pi, and then I have my other Class D amplifier up here, and a whole bunch of wire wrap. So one of the ideas that I had was to use another Raspberry Pi to talk to this subwoofer. If I did that, I might not use this amplifier board. I might use this little hi-fi, or sorry, it is a Just Boom Amp Zero. So that is another option. But either one, no matter what direction I do, I need to make sure that the subwoofer is getting the right frequency tones, because it's a subwoofer. So it needs to get a low pass filter in there somehow, because I only want to send the subwoofer the boomy part of the songs. I don't want it to get the full range of music, because I need it to be like boom. And neither one of these, so when I just did this amplifier, just plugging it all in, making sure it all worked, it was doing a full range because I could hear the full range of the song. And of course the high frequencies were muffled just because of the nature of the speaker, but I really don't want those high frequencies to even be sent to the speaker in the first place. So there's a bunch of ways I could attack this. Ooh, there's even an article on how to minimize Bluetooth lag. I'm going to check that out, because I was looking at using like Pulse Audio to do some time synchronization. I was also wondering if I should do so chat is suggesting I do an active low-pass filter. I was thinking about a passive low-pass filter. Another thing I was thinking about would be a programmable, I love programmable potentiometers, so digital potentiometers, and coupled up with a nice big capacitor to make my own low-pass filter that I can program. And then if I used another Raspberry Pi, one of the things I was wondering, could I just use this Raspberry Pi to make some audio filtering on the Pi itself, like digitally, some DSP, I think is what the kids call it these days, digital signal processing, just to make sure that the pieces that are going out of this amplifier are just already filtered. There's a bunch of different directions that I can take to try to make a wireless subwoofer happen in my system. And then ultimately, what I want to do is take this entire subwoofer, this whole big thing, and just put it into a 5-gallon bucket and bury it in the yard with the port out, so it would be waterproof and kind of out of the way and hidden. And maybe I need a power switch on it so I can turn it off when you know, the neighbors eventually complain. So those are all the different ideas I have on this wireless subwoofer topic. Yeah, you guys have been great in the chat. You guys have given me a lot of different suggestions. Hopefully I can save this chat because I want to go. I'm going to click this just to make sure. I'm not sure if I can save the chat or not. I've never used all these different tools. I've never streamed on Twitch, and you guys have been so helpful. I really appreciate you guys hanging out with me in the techno lair. I'm trying to do this about twice a week if the time permits. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Ooh, I almost said Thursday. Nope. Baby Friday. Tuesdays and Baby Friday. Tuesdays are band shirt Tuesdays, and then Baby Fridays are just the soft close to your week. All right, I don't know all the nerds in the world, but I would love to meet them. So please share this with a nerd in your life. I'm going to hang out in the chat for a little while longer and make sure that I get all these good ideas recorded. And then I'm going to figure out what direction this project can take. If it's anything like the last project, it'll go in a billion different directions, and eventually one of them will work. So I think I'm going to start out with trying to make my just amplifier board work with a passive RC filter, mostly so that I can understand it in my mind and what the signals need to look like. And then we'll get more fabulously complicated, which is how, you know, projects generally go. So until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye.